What's up, everybody? It's Kevin with Guard Defense Solutions. I'm here with Justin Edwards. We're here in Monroe, Ohio at JGMMA Academy. Today we're going to be talking about a principle of application of pressure on a subject for law enforcement purposes. So there's a lot of things that kind of go into play when we talk about putting our pressure, our body weight on somebody else. And so I've tried to break them down into three things to know about pressure, if you will. So I'm going to have Justin and I are going to demonstrate here. If we don't mind flipping around just a little bit here. Yep. So when we put our body weight on somebody, a subject, and when I'm trying to control somebody, whether it's for arrest or whatever the need may be, right? I need to put my pressure on them. And there's a bunch of different ways that we can do that. When we think about pressure, whether I just got my whole body on them and I'm with another guy and we just chest to chest, this is pressure. But a lot of times, one of the most effective things we can do in law enforcement is use our knee for stabilization. I can really control somebody. Even as they're kind of rolling around, I can put my knee in different places to kind of control and use my body weight to control somebody on the ground. This is very, very effective in law enforcement, but a lot of times what we do, there's more elements to that I kind of want to take some time to talk about. So the things that I've kind of broken this down into is the amount of pressure, and we'll talk about each one of these, but the amount of pressure, the location of the pressure, and the type of pressure, and I've broken that down into two categories. So the amount of pressure is the first thing I want you to think about. How much pressure am I using? And the answer is, how much pressure do I need, and how do I regulate those? And when I'm teaching at seminars, I often refer to this as pressure is like a gas pedal. I can go faster or slower, and anywhere in between. I can do 10 miles an hour, or I can slam it down and do 100 miles an hour. When Justin or I, either one, we're teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or mixed martial arts or anything like that, when we're teaching fighting, it's all the pressure, it's as heavy as we can, all the weight's on our opponent. But when it's law enforcement, it kind of depends on the situation. So it's not like a light switch, right? Like it's all the way on or all the way off. It's like a gas pedal. So do I need 20 miles an hour? Do I need 100 miles an hour? And can I back it off if need be? So that's what we're going to talk about. So there's different types of pressure, but just for the sake of this instruction, I'm just going to use knee pressure. So if I had my knee on Justin, how much pressure do I deliver is kind of dependent on what the situation is. Is Justin a 12-year-old that I just chased away from Walmart for stealing a Snickers bar and I'm just trying to control him to put him in handcuffs? I probably don't need all my pressure, all my weight. Is he a full-grown man who's full-on fighting me? Then I need that gas pedal slammed all the way down, right? I need all the weight. So there's different ways to regulate that. When we're talking about knee pressure, often this is used by putting my foot on the ground, right? So when my foot is on the ground right here, Justin, you pretty good, pretty comfortable. So this is hardly any pressure at all. But if I can just take my weight off of the earth and place it on him, a little bit more pressure. Right, so a lot more pressure right here. It's just I'm just moving my weight from the earth to my opponent, and I can go anywhere in between. So if he were a 7-year-old right here, and I put him right here, I can tell you this is almost no pressure at all. So just by leaning that weight in, and there's not much visual difference. You can tell, and what looks like I have all my weight on somebody doesn't always necessarily apply. So when we're thinking about, as law enforcement, how much pressure do I need? And understand, to be able to explain that, how much pressure you're applying. So was I going 100 miles an hour all the way, or was I doing 5 miles an hour and I barely have any weight on them at all, but I'm just securing them, right? And this can switch. If I switch out to here, and this is still very little pressure, or it's on his knee or wherever. So the amount of pressure is number one important thing. Am I going 100 miles an hour or am I going 10 miles an hour? And understand how to gauge that back and forth. Like a gas pedal, not like a light switch. The second thing is my location of my pressure, right? So we have the skeletal system, his hips, his shoulders, his arms. These things can bear more weight without any discomfort and maybe even pain than soft tissue like his belly, his sternum, his face, his neck, his groin, things like that. Those I can't apply as much pressure, right? So if I have somebody and I have full pressure all the way down on his sternum, this can restrict his breathing. If I'm in his belly, this can be really hard, cause a lot of pain. And another thing this happens is it creates this guy to want to fight back, right? When I create a situation where he wants to fight this because he can't breathe. I'm creating a situation where he can't breathe, so he wants to fight my knee. So I might not need that much. Maybe I just need to stabilize him like this. So, or I can move it right across his pelvis, right? So now all my weight is right on the skeletal system. It's on his bones. What if I switched up here and came right across his shoulder? So I'm on his shoulder girdle, not all the way up on his chest, but I'm just against the shoulder, or maybe even the legs, right? I can pin the legs down and use my shin and use that pressure against his legs. So just understand not only how much pressure you're doing, but the location of your pressure. Understand when you're doing it and be able to explain that. A lot of times we teach a bunch of stuff where I'll pin an arm too, right? So that's the same amount of pressure. It's on the skeletal system. So there's muscle and skeletal in there, but I'm not restricting his breathing or anything like that. So understand the amount and the location. And the third thing I want you to think about is the type of pressure. So I've broken this down into two separate categories. One is broad pressure and the other one is acute pressure, right? So I always do this demonstration. It's not pounds, but pounds per square inch, right? So like if I take big open hands and I put all my weight on Justin's body, that's all my weight. I can't make myself weigh any more than what I do, just the physics of it. But if I take that same amount of weight and I concentrate it in a small spot, his face comes up and he goes to defend this. This is very uncomfortable. I take that same amount of weight. I didn't create more weight. It's not pounds per square inch, right? I move it into a small spot. So when I'm talking about pressure on a subject in law enforcement, am I using that big, broad pressure? Am I using the full length of my shin across his pelvis? I could probably do full weight, pretty comfortable, all my weight, right? But if I take that same pressure and I put it just on my knee and I put it in a sternum, so now we're adding the amount, the location, I'm changing the type, I'm bringing it all down to just the surface of my knee. You can see his hands came in, he wanted to defend that, it makes it harder to breathe. So when I put these things into play, you gotta understand where I put pressure. I can put pressure on his skeletal system, broad type of pressure, I can put almost all of it. So if this is a full-grown man who I'm just trying to control, he's gonna fight me, and I put this weight, I can control his hands and put all my weight. My foot back here is completely off the ground. So I can put all my weight and he's still pretty comfortable. If I gotta switch off, I can stay right here. I can control his hands and he's still pretty comfortable. But if I start adding that lots of weight, he wants to defend that, this starts making it hard for him to breathe and everything like that. So, and the same thing goes for chest or shoulder pressure. You know, if I got shoulder pressure, that's acute pressure versus nice broad pressure. This is more comfortable for him. So those are the three things I appreciate you. Those are the three things I want you to concentrate on when you have somebody on the ground. That knee on pressure, man, that's super effective in law enforcement and controlling somebody. But you got to understand how much pressure you're putting on. You got to understand where your pressure is put. And you got to understand the type. Is it broad or is it acute pressure? That's all I got. Anything to add?
No, it's perfect.
Right. Awesome, guys. As always, do us a favor. If this is adding any value to your education, hit that like button. It really helps us out. Spread the word. If you have anything that you'd like to see us do, please leave it in the comments below or email us at guarddefense.com, gardefense.com. It really helps us put together a curriculum of things that you like to see. As always, stay safe and we'll see you next time.